was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
The bodegas are the lifeline of New York City. They have formed relationships with their customers that are very unique.
You're there to please New Yorkers right when they wake up at their grumpiest and right when they leave work, the second grumpiest time of the day. So we're there to just make their day better.
But more than a 24/7 source of everything imaginable, bodegas all over New York have started to play a more active role in their communities. Their common goal is an ambitious one.
When we saw that cover, this for us was actually the straw that broke the camel's back.
This has been a trend by the New York Post, bashing minorities, bashing Muslims, and we need that to stop.
Oh, these are good. Ooh, I like this. Yeah.
Let me get some. I'm gonna mail them on because I have about 2,000 store addresses. I'm gonna send them.
As we announced the first day, our message is very clear for the New York Post. No newspaper or any individual will be allowed to spread any hate in our city or
And
in
we're
our
not going to
society.
sell it.
And we're not going to sell it.
They have the right to publish. We have the
Yeah.
right to boycott. We're not selling it.
Yeah,
That's
we
it.
are not selling it.
Yay, let's get to work.
Where do you want to start?
Well, I can spot a Yemeni grocery store like a mile away. Hi, are you guys boycotting the New York Post?
It's always been immigrants who actually open up these businesses. So right now, the two largest communities that actually are running bodegas are Yemeni Americans and Dominicans.
Hi, are you guys boycotting the New York Post? Yom al-Khamis, a really horrible cover on Ilham Amar. I mean, it's part of their long, dark history with targeting Muslim and Arab communities.
We have bodega owners, Yemeni American bodega owners, that have been in communities where they've seen 3 generations of a family grow up. So they're really an intricate part of New York City. And we saw this affirmation of the bodega when the Yemeni American community decided to hold the bodega strike.
Organizers of the bodega protest say more than 1,000 stores across all of the boroughs, many of them run by Yemeni Americans, will be closed starting at midday. It comes one day after hundreds gathered in lower Manhattan last night, first praying and then protesting. They're upset about President Trump's executive order limiting entry for refugees from 7 mostly Muslim countries.
Yemeni Americans make the largest number of directly impacted individuals in New York City by the travel ban. The massive organizing that has started to happen within the Yemeni American community really generated from the travel ban.
So in 2017, with the bodega strike, the Yemeni American Merchants Association, or YAMA, was born. And it made sense, since out of the 10,000 bodegas in New York's 5 boroughs, about half of them are Yemeni-owned. In 2019, the 30-day boycott of the New York Post would be its second largest activist campaign.
Some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
I don't know, posting 9/11 in relation to Muslims, it's a trope. It's a typical trope. It's how you incite fear and violence in the community.
Look, this is not just for the Yemeni Americans, right? Or the Yemeni American community. This is for all communities. You guys are high schoolers, college students, and this is civic engagement, right? To stand up and say, hey, no to hate, no to fear. So today our plan is to go from one store to another, right? From small businesses to convince our merchants, to convince our bodega owners and tell them, hey, we do not accept any hate speech or bigotry or anything to be spread in the streets of New York.
Hi, how are you guys? Have you guys heard of the Boycott New York Post? They have been trying to provoke hatred against Muslims and against Hispanics and against African Americans in their newspaper. We're doing the boycott campaign. Have you guys heard of their recent news? Our message is, New York Post, take your papers back. So
I don't buy anything.
that's what I'm talking about, guys. All right, take care.
Simply put, Yama is asking for the paper to apologize to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, Muslims and minorities, for Stephen Lynch, editor-in-chief of the paper, to be fired, for the paper's reporting to be more nuanced, and for elected officials to stop giving a platform to what they call racist reporting. All these before the 30 days are up.
We're 5,000 businesses deep, just Yemenis. I mean, how many places are selling newspapers these days? Probably just bodegas and newsstands. So if all the bodegas stop selling it, they're gonna feel it in their pockets.
According to Yama, the math is simple. If all 5,000 Yemeni-owned bodegas boycotted the New York Post, it would mean a loss of approximately $45,000 per day to the paper.
It's racist! Boycott the Post! It's misogynist! Boycott the Post! It's Islamophobic! Boycott the Post!
The New York Post has been called out before, several times, for its punchy and perhaps shocking headlines, but it had never before provoked such a strong backlash. Now, the question is, what happens if the financial loss and ongoing rallies are not enough to pressure the New York Post, one of the oldest newspapers in the country and owned by Rupert Murdoch, into complying with Yama's demands within 30 days?
That's pretty cool. All right, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you all for calling in, and those of you who actually made it over. So the objective of today's meeting is, one, to form a coalition. We'd like to bring as many partners across race, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, everybody and anybody who hates the Post. We want you to come. I just want to tell people that this is not something that's going to resolve itself in 90 days. 6 months. I think it's going to be long term, and that's why we feel that having a coalition together to work with us and amplify the work would be great. The bodega owners and merchants, this is like another moment for them, second to the bodega strike, of feeling pride. We are here 30 days later. Though it may have been the story about Representative Ilhan Omar that sparked our boycott, the New York Post attacks on Omar is only the latest in a series of racist coverage stretching back at least 30 years. Their silence has left us with no alternative but to call for an indefinite boycott of the New York Post.
Right on.
We, the Yemeni American Merchants Association, are here to announce the formation of the Boycott New York Post Coalition.
So right now we have coming together to say that we will boycott the New York Post, to say that we will drive them into bankruptcy. Why? Because the power is in the people. Look around me. You see Muslims, you see Jews, you see men, you see women, you see trans folks. We all stand united to tell the New York Post that their days are numbered.
We're going to target advertisers who've been advertising for the Post to simply say to them, do you choose hope and solidarity, or do you choose to support hate?
Honestly, I don't think it's impossible for us to get the New York Post shut down by the end of this. You know, I think we're gonna do some damage.
Thank you so much. Shukran jazilan.